Shiva Svarodaya. With salutations to Shiva, Parvati, Ganesha, and Guru or Preceptor, I remember the Supreme Lord who redeems all from the bondage of the world. Devi said, O God of gods, O Lord, take mercy on me and reveal to me the knowledge which bestows all prosperity and benefits. O God, how did this universe originate? How it changes and how it dissolves? Tell me which is the determiner of the universe. Ishwara said, O Goddess, this universe originates from the elements. The elements preserve it, and in the elements it finally dissolves. Thus, understand it as determined by the elements. Devi said, certainly the philosophers have decided the elements as the final substance of the universe, but kindly reveal to me the nature of the elements. Ishwara said, there is one Supreme Lord, devoid of Maya and form. From him originated the Akasha or sky, and from Akasha the Vayu or wind. From Vayu originated Teja or fire, from Teja the waters, and from waters the earth. These are the 5 elements, and each of these is further differentiated into 5. Thus, in all, there come into existence 25 elements. The universe originated from the elements, which preserve the universe, and ultimately the universe dissolves into these elements. My beauty, in the body which originates from the 5 elements reside all these 5 elements in subtle form. All the Tattva yogis know this. Now, I describe the science of origin of the swaras which reside in the body. With the knowledge of the swaras which move in the form of hamsa, one acquires the knowledge of the past, present, and future. This science of swaras is a secret of all secrets, and reveals the secret of the essence of all benefits. This science is the crest jewel of all knowledge. This subtle of the subtlest of knowledge is worth thorough mastery. It appears a wonder to the non-believers, and is in the foundation for those who are believers. This science of Svarodaya should be taught to a disciple whose nature is composed and pure, who is of a good character and has firm faith in his guru, is obedient, and is obliged to the acts of kindness done to him. This science should not be imparted to one who is wicked, non-believer, intemperate, of loose character, of an irritable nature, and commits adultery on his guru's wife. O Devi, listen now to what I tell you about that knowledge which resides in the body, and by the mere knowledge of which one becomes omniscient. All the Vedas, Sastras, music, and all the 3 worlds are inherent in the swaras, and the swaras are identical with Atman. an astrologer without the knowledge of the swaras, a house without an owner, a mouth without shastras, and a body without a head are never acclaimed. A person who knows the threefold differentiation of nadis in the form of nadis, prana tattva, and Sushumna attains emancipation. The manifest or practical and the formless or spiritual become auspicious only on the strength of the wind or swara, and O Varni, of beautiful face, or Parvati, some say that the knowledge of swaras at once gives auspicious results. The part and whole of the universe are made up of swaras. The creator and destroyer of the universe is really the swara in the form of Maheshwara. No one has ever seen or heard of a quality beyond the knowledge of swaras. Any wealth beyond the knowledge of swaras, and any knowledge beyond the knowledge of swaras. If one has the strength of swaras, only then he should attack his foe or meet his friend. Wealth or Lakshmi, fame and pleasure or comfort are all obtained through the strength of swaras. Travel becomes possible by the strength of swaras. Food is obtained by the strength of swaras. And even urination and defecation are made possible by the strength of swaras. Marriage of the daughter, audience from a king, kindness of God, or the subjugation of a king becomes possible only by virtue of swaras. O lady of beautiful face, all the Shastras, Puranas, Smritis, and the Vedangas are nothing beyond the knowledge of swaras. As long as there is no knowledge of the elements, the illusion of name and form remains a futility, and so long the ignorance also remain baffled. The science of Svarodaya, or knowledge of the rise of breathing in one or the other nostril, is higher than the highest of the Shastras, and is like the wick of the lamp to illuminate the pot in the form of Atman. The science of Svarodaya should not be imparted to all and the sundry who happen to ask for it, but it should be mastered for one's own self, by one's own intellect in his own body. There is no obstruction of Tithi, or days of the lunar fortnight, asterisms, weekdays, planets, deity, Bhadra, which is the name of the 2nd, 7th, and 12th day of a lunar fortnight, Vyatipata, which is a portent foreboding a great calamity, or unsteadiness of conditions, which is this science can be practiced at any time and in any condition. Neither there ever has been, nor there ever would be, an inauspicious moment for it. When the pure strength of the swaras is available, all results are auspicious. There are numerous nadis of different sizes in the body, and they should be known by the erudites for the knowledge about their own bodies. Originating like sprouts from the root, Situated a little above the navel, there are 72,000 nadis in the body. In the nadis sleeps the serpent-like Kundalini Shakti. 10 nadis go upwards from the root point, and 10 also downwards in the body. 2 nadis each go in oblique directions, which thus make 24 in all. Out of these 10 are the main nadis, which provide the flow of wind in the body. All the nadis of the body, going oblique, upwards or downwards, are situated in the form of a chakra and are under the sway of prana vayu. Out of 10, which have been said to be the main nadis, there are only 3, the Ida, Pingala and Sushumna, which should be regarded as most important. The names of the remaining 7, apart from Ida, Pingala and Sushumna, are Gandhari, Hashtajiva, Busa, Yasashvini, Alambusha, Kuhu, and Sankini. Ida is situated on the left side of the spinal cord. Pingala is on the right, and Sushumna is in the middle of the spinal cord. Gandhari is situated in the left, and Hashtajiva in the right eye. Pusha is in the right ear. Yasashvini is in the left ear. Alambusha in the mouth. Kuhu in the genital organ, and Sankini in the anus. In this matter are the 10 nadis situated in the 10 gates of the body. All these 10 nadis are situated in the middle of the body, and the Ida, Pingala and Sushumna are situated in the passage of the prana. I now enumerate the names of the winds which flow through the nadis. These are prana, apana, samana, udana, and vyana. Naga, kurma, krikala, devdata, dhyanajaya. The pranavayu resides in the heart and the apanavayu in the anus. Samana is situated in the navel region, udana at the center of the neck, and vyana flows all over the body. These 10 vayus or winds are most important. There are 5 prana and 5 naga sets of vayus or winds. The places of the first 5 have already been described. I now describe the places of the remaining 5 naga. In vomiting, should one know the naga vayu to be inherent, and in the winking of eyes, the kurma vayu. The krikala is inherent in sneezing, and the devdata in yawning. The dhyanajaya vayu, which pervades the entire body, does not leave the body even after death. In this manner, the 10 vayus roam the body. The erudites should know that the vital winds flowing in the center of the body are controlled by the Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna. Ida should be known as situated on the left side of the spinal cord, and the Pingala on the right in the reverse form. The moon resides in the Ida, the sun in the Pingala, and the Hamsa in the Sushumna. This Hamsa is Shambhu or Shiva. Thus, Hamsa in the form of Shambhu resides in the Sushumna. The process of exhalation is said to contain the alphabet Ha, and the inhalation contains the alphabet Sa. Ha Kara, the alphabet Ha, is the form of Shiva, and the Sa Kara, the alphabet Sa, the form of Shakti. The controller of the flow of the left nadi, Ida, which flows through the left nostril, is Moon, who also resides in it in the form of Shakti. The controller of the flow of the right nadi, which is Pingala, which flows through the right nostril, is the Sun, who also resides in it in the form of Shiva. When the breathing is in the process of sakara, or inhalation, and if a wise man gives charity at that very moment, then that charity bestows 1,000,000-fold auspicious fruits to the giver in this very lifetime. A yogi of concentrated and composed mind should see only through this path and regard everything contained only in the path of the moon and the sun, which is the paths of the flow of the wind through the Ida and Pingala respectively. One should concentrate upon the elements only when his mind is composed and undisturbed. Thus he achieves the desired results, benefits, and victory. One should not concentrate upon them in a disturbed state of mind. Mastery over the knowledge of past and present comes to one who practices thoroughly the moon and the sun swaras. The left nadi Ida is nectar-like and supports the entire world. The right nadi Pingala always creates the entire world. The nadi in the middle, or Sushumna, is cruel and inauspicious for all occasions, while the left nadi is always auspicious and bestows fruitification of all actions. The left nadi is auspicious at the time of proceeding for a work, while the right is auspicious on the return. Therefore, one should always consider the moon as even and virtuous, and the sun as uneven and non-virtuous. The moon is a female, the sun is a male. The complexion of the moon is fair, and that of the sun is dark. When the moon, or Ida, is flowing, then good and amiable works should be undertaken. When the sun, or Pingala, is flowing, then cruel and daring works should be undertaken. When Sushumna is flowing, then amorous or sexual and such acts which lead to emancipation should be undertaken. On the first day of the dark fortnight, the sun swara flows, and the moon swara flows on the first day of the light fortnight. These swaras remain powerful on the first 3 days of their respective fortnights. Beginning with the moon swara in the lighted fortnight and sun in the dark fortnight, these swaras alternate during 24 hours of the day and night at the rate of 2.5 ghatis each, which is each swara alternates 24 times in one day and night. And in these 2.5 ghatis, each of the elements rules for half a ghati during the reign of flow of the sun or moon swara. If the swaras flow against the specification for each of the fortnights, i.e., if instead of the moon swara the sun is flowing and vice versa, then it must be regarded as inauspicious and therefore should be avoided. The yogis should, with concentrated mind, know the moon swara on the first day of the lighted fortnight and the sun swara on the first day of the dark fortnight. The moon swara should be avoided in the night and the sun swara in the day. One who practices in this manner is really a yogi. There is no doubt about that. The sun is bound by the sun swara and the moon by the moon swara. One who knows this can captivate the three worlds in a moment. If the sun swara rises at the time of the moon swara, but sets at its own time, at the time of the sun swara, then various groups of qualities auspicious arise. If the condition is contrary to this, it should be avoided. On Thursday, Friday, Wednesday, and Monday, the left nadi is auspicious for all occasions, and in the lighted fortnight it is all the more effective. For roving business works which require movement from one place to another, the right nadi should be considered favorable on Sunday, Tuesday, and Saturday. It becomes all the more effective in the dark fortnight. The order of the prevalence of the elements is as follows. First of all, the Vayu or wind element flows, followed by the Agni or fire, then earth or Prithvi, then water or Jala, and sky or Akasha, respectively. In a period of 2.5 ghatis, all the elements rule successively in the order enumerated previously, but also during the flow of each nadi, the 5 elements flow in the same order. At the middle of a day and night, one should know 12 transitional points from one zodiacal point to another, between the sun and moon. During the daytime, the transitions of the moon occurs from Vrsa to Karka, Kanya, Vrsiki, Makara, and Meena respectively. The transition of sun should be known from Mesa to Simha, Kumbha, Tula, Mithuna, and Dhanu. In this manner, one should determine the auspicious and inauspicious nature from the rising and setting of the zodiacal signs. The moon stays in the east and north, while the sun in the south and west. When the right nostril is flowing, one should avoid going to the south and west. One should not go to the east and north during the flow of the left nostril. If he goes in these directions, then there is an apprehension of fear from the enemy, and if one insists on going, he would never return. Therefore, sensible persons who think of the benefit of all should not go in the directions prohibited above. If they would go, they may meet death. If on the second day of the lighted fortnight there is a moon swara at the time of the flow of the sun, then it is beneficial for the person. If he undertakes sober and pious works on such an occasion, he will derive much pleasure and benefit out of it. On any day or night, when at the time of rising of the sun there is a sun swara, and at the time of rising of the moon there is a moon swara, then any work at that time would be successful. When there is sun at the time of moon, or moon at the time of sun, then there would be nothing except tension, conflict and loss, and nothing auspicious can happen at that time. Intelligent persons say that under the flow of the sun one can have the knowledge of the unseen and unheard things, while under the flow of the moon the results are reversed. No knowledge of the unseen or unheard can be obtained. The day on which, since morning, there is a rise of the adverse svara, or the rise of the swara other than the specified for the day and time, for example moon instead of the sun or vice versa, then one should know the results as follows. On the first instance there is mental anxiety. On the second instance there is loss of wealth. On the third instance, unwanted traveling. And on the fourth instance, loss of what is desired. On the fifth instance, destruction of one's kingdom. On the sixth instance, loss of all benefits. On the seventh instance, there is disease and pain. And on the eighth, there may be possibility of death. By instances here is meant the order of the alternating frequencies of the swaras during the day and night. In the morning, at midday, and evening, if the rise of adverse swaras as specified above continues for 8 days, then the effect would always be inauspicious and adverse. This would proportionately reduce if there is some regularity also in the flow of the swaras during the period. On a day when in the morning and at midday the moon swara flows, and in the evening there is the sun swara, then on that day there will be victory and gain. If it is contrary to this, then it should be avoided, otherwise destructive results would follow. When one is proceeding on a journey, or is going out for some work, then he should determine the swara that is flowing at the moment, and then put only the same foot forward on the first instance. For example, left foot if the left swara is flowing, and right foot if the right swara is flowing. If he starts in this manner, his journey would be successful. If the moon swara is flowing, then even number of feet, for example 2, 4, 6, should be put forward, and if the sun swara is flowing, odd number of feet, for example 1, 3, 5, should be put forward. If one proceeds in this manner, his journey would be successful. At the time of getting out of bed in the morning, one should touch his mouth by the palm of that hand whose side of the swara is running at the moment. One who does so obtains desired results. While giving or accepting charity, if one does so with the same hand whose swara is running, or if at the time of going out of his house puts that foot forward whose swara is running, then he does not meet loss, conflict, or attack of the enemy. On the other hand, by doing so he remains free of all troubles. If one wants to get his objectives fulfilled by his preceptor, relatives, king, or his minister, then he should do so by taking some fruits in his hand. Thus his desire would get full fruits. While lighting fire, performing unrighteous actions like theft, or righteous actions like punishing the opponents, one should do so empty-handed, and that will lead him to victory, comfort, and success. Some say that one should proceed on a journey to some far-off place when the moon svara is flowing, and to a nearby place under the sun svara. Whatever benefits have been said above accrue at the time of war only if the respective swaras are flowing in their full strength. If the flow of the swara is zero, then according to Shiva, the results are adverse. The full strength of a swara is not favorable in such cruel actions as extirpation of the wicked in behavior, intelligent swindling of the enemy, theft and anger of one's master. The moon svara is auspicious for one who is proceeding on a journey to some distant place. This provides undisturbed fulfillment of the desired results. The sun svara is auspicious on the return journey. The favorable svara makes impossible works possible, while the unfavorable svara makes possible works impossible. Therefore, one should adjust his behavior according to the swaras. When the moon svara is running, one can bear crimes even of others. When sun svara is running, even a strong person can be subjugated. When Sushumna is running, one can obtain emancipation. In this manner, only one god, Svara, has a threefold existence. One should make efforts to run his swara according to the auspicious or inauspicious work which he intends to perform either in the day or at night. The flow of the Ida or left nostril is favorable for stationary work, collection of ornaments, and other necessities of the house, going to a distant place, construction of a hermitage, temple, pool, well, and tank, consecration of the idol of a deity, journey, charity, marriage, and for the purchase of clothing and ornaments, performance of rituals for pacification and appeasement or attainment of worldly prosperity, preparation of divine medicines or chemicals, interview with one's master, business and collection of food grains, entry into a newly constructed house, service, cultivation, seed sowing, auspicious works, and effort for peace. The flow of Ida or left nostril is also favorable to these: beginning of study, meeting with relatives in birth and emancipation, and in initiation in religion and sacrifice, knowledge of times past, present, and future, tying quadruped animals on arrival in the house, in the treatment of serious diseases, and at the time of addressing one's master, riding a horse or mounting an elephant, taking a new bow, tying an elephant or a horse, performance of benevolent acts, and establishing of a treasure, in singing, playing on a musical instrument, dancing, study of the science of dancing, entry into a village or town, wearing the sandal paste mark on the forehead, and the purchase of land. The Ida is favorable when one is thinking about a sick relative, or is brooding over his illness, fever, or state of senselessness, and at the time of storage of food grains or fuel wood. The moon nadi Ida is favorable at the time of putting on dental ornaments by ladies, coming of rains, worship of the preceptor, removal or purge of poisonous materials. Although Ida has been declared as favorable for yogic practices, yet when the Vayu and Akasha elements are predominant in the Ida, then it should be avoided. All works, whether at day or night, are successful under the flow of Ida. In fact, the flow of moon or Ida is favorable for all auspicious works. Effects of the flow of Pingala. A study or teaching of cruel and destructive sciences, company of a woman, prostitution, and boarding of a big ship, corrupt works, drinking, worship of some Vira mantra, which is a mantra for obtaining vigor and bravery, in a state of restiveness, in the destruction of the country and poisoning the enemies, practice of shastras, journey, hunting, selling cattle, and rubbing or breaking of bricks, wood, stone, or jewel. The sun nadi or Pingala is also favorable for practice of going out, ascent on a yantra, tantra, fort or mountain, gambling, theft, taming an elephant or horse, driving a chariot. Satakarmas, which is 6 ritualistic practices, such as marana and ukatana, or in obstructing a yakshini, poison and evil spirits, riding a donkey, camel, buffalo, elephant, or horse, crossing a torrential river, practice of medicine and writing a manuscript in Marana, Mohana, and Stampana, which are practices known as tatakarmas. Enmity, pressing anyone to do something. Cultivation, anger, and giving or accepting charity. Invocation of a spirit. Opposition, eradication of an enemy. Punishment, holding a sword. War against an opponent. Carnal pleasures, seeing a king, taking food, bathing, and works of illumination. Those who know say that taking food, activating the appetite and increasing digestive fire, captivating a woman, and sleeping can all be best done under the sun nadi. All the cruel works and various types of works requiring movement are successful under the sun nadi. There should not be a second thought about it. Effects of Sushumna. When the wind flows at one moment in the left nostril and the next moment in the right nostril, it should be known as Sushumna nadi, and it makes everything infructus. The fire residing in the sun nadi burns like kala or death, and one should know this fire a poison and all destructive. When transgressing their orders, both the nadis, left and right, flow in a person, then it is inauspicious for him. There is no doubt about it. When the wind flows for a moment in the left and next moment in the right, it should be called irregular. And O Parvati, it gives adverse results. Irregular flow of the nadis is said by the pundits to be like a poison. One should do neither cruel nor auspicious works, and if one does so, they all become infructus. In living, dying, questioning, profit, loss, victory, defeat, and in the flow of adverse and irregular swara, which is flow of Sushumna, one should always remember the Supreme Lord. On such an occasion, concentrating his mind on the Ishvara, one should indulge in yogic practice only. No effort towards victory, benefit, or comfort should be made in this condition. When the Sushumna flows during the reign of Surya Nadi, then both a curse or a boon becomes ineffective. During the transitional period of Nadi and elements, no auspicious work should be done. Even one should abstain from righteous acts like charity. When the irregular svara rises, then one should not even think of a work. If one does so, he will meet adverse effects and even suffering or death. There is no doubt about it. When the left swara is followed by the moon swara, and thereafter the right swara is followed by the sun swara, then one should know both these orders as blank. If before or after the left swara a messenger comes and takes his place on the left side, or if before or after the right swara a messenger comes and takes his place on the right side, then it is auspicious in both cases. If during the flow of a beginningless irregular Sushumna one, remaining without food and fully engrossed, obtains absorption in the subtle Brahman, then such a Sushumna is called Sandhya by the knowers. The pundits do not consider knowing as Veda, and in fact Vedas are not mere knowing. The erudites call that as Veda, from which one can obtain the knowledge of the Supreme Spirit. The knowers do not call Sandhya as the junction, nor can Sandhya be called a junction. But when the prana resides in the irregular junction, then it is called Sandhi. The Devi said, O God of gods, O Mahadeva, O Redeemer of all the worlds, kindly tell me the secret which resides in your hearts." Ishvara said, "There is no Ishtadevata, or desired deity, beyond the mystery of the knowledge of swaras. A yogi who knows this is, in reality, a perfect yogi. The creation takes place out of 5 elements, and it also dissolves in the elements. The 5 elements are the supreme elements, and the Brahman alone is beyond the elements. The yogis, through the siddhis of yoga, try to know the names of the elements. A person who considers swaras as the best knowledge can know the evil symptoms of all types of men. One who knows this 5 elemental universe, made up of water, fire, wind, earth, and akasha, is respected and worshipped everywhere. The bodies of all the jivas reside in the lokas, or worlds, spreading from earth to Satyaloka. They do not differ from the point of view of elements, but there is nadi differentiation in each case. 5 risings each have been located in each of the left and right sides. O my beauty, I will now tell you the 8-fold science of tattvas, which, please listen. First comes the counting of elements. Second is the sandhi, which is the midpoint or junction of the breathing. Third comes the signs of the swaras. Fourth is the location or place of the swaras. Fifth is the color of the elements or tattvas. Sixth is the prana. Seventh is the taste difference. And the 8th, the symptoms of the movement. In this way, there are 8 types of pranas in the moving and stationary creation. O Devi, there is no knowledge beyond the science of swaras. One should start the determination of the swaras always from the morning onwards, because although the yogis talk about the action depending on loss or delay of time, yet they have the capacity to recognize the elements. One should place both the left and right thumbs on respected ears, both the middle fingers on both the nostrils, the taranis or first finger on both the eyes, and the anamikas or the ring finger and the little finger of both hands on the mouth. When one has done so as directed above, then the knowledge of the elements comes to him in the form of colors. Yellow color is earth, white for water, red for fire, black for vayu, and spotted color for akasha. Placing a mirror, one should throw his breath on it and try to see the form of the haze formed on it. Thus the pundits should know the predominating elements on the basis of the shape of the haze. If the haze so formed is square, like half moon, triangular, or dotted, then one should know it as the sign of the akasha element. If the breathed air is passing through the central part of the nostril, it is indicative of earth element. If it is through the lower part, it means water element. If it is through the topmost part, it means fire element, and if it is oblique through the sides, it means earth element. If it is flowing in a rotating manner, it means akasha element. The color of water is white, of earth is yellow, of fire is red, of air is blue, and of the akasha like the color of clouds. The fire element resides on both the shoulders, the air element at the root of the navel, the earth element in the thighs, the water element in the lowest part of the feet, and the akasha element in the forehead. The taste of earth is sweet, of water saline, of fire bitter, of air sour, and of akasha pungent. The length of swara of air element is 8 angulas or fingers, of fire element is 4 fingers, of earth element 12 fingers, and that of water element is 16 fingers. If the swara flows in the upward direction, it is indicative of death. If it flows in the downward direction, it indicates tranquility. If it flows in an oblique manner, then one should do the act of repulsing others. If it flows in the middle, one should do the obstructing acts. The effect of akasha element is moderate in all kinds of works. When the earth element is dominant, then one should do stationary works. When water element is dominant, roving works can be done successfully. When the fire element is dominant, cruel works are successful. And when the air element is dominant, the acts like ukatana or repulsing others and marana or acts of killing others are successful. No work should be done when the akasha element is dominating, because everything draws a blank during its reign. However, yoga sadhana can be done during its dominance. The earth and water elements provide siddhi or success. The fire element provides death. The air element provides destruction or loss. And the akasha element makes everything infructuous. So should such persons know who possess the knowledge of the tattvas. The earth element gives considerable success. The water element gives immediate profit. The air and fire elements provide loss, and the akasha element makes things unsuccessful. When there is a yellow color, the svara is moving consistently and with a moderate speed, with the heaviness of its sound experienced upon the chin, and which may be slightly warm. Then one should know it to be the dominance of the earth element, which provides success in all kinds of stationary works. That which flows downwards, whose sound is heavy, which is fast in speed, which may be slightly cold, and whose distance may be 16 fingers, should be known as the swara of water dominance, and under it one should only do auspicious works. One that moves in a circular form, which is slightly warm, whose color is red, whose distance is 4 fingers, and which flows in an upward direction, is the svara of fire element, and one should only do cruel works under it. One that is temperate, whose color is dark, which flows in an oblique direction, and whose distance is 8 fingers, should be known as the swara of air element, and only roving business are successful under it. The swara which flows with the qualities of all other elements should be known as that of akasha element, and it is the swara which makes the objects of yogis successful. The swara whose color is yellow, which is square in shape and sweet in taste, which flows through the middle, and whose length is 12 fingers, is called earth element, and it bestows all prosperity. The swara whose color is white, which is like a half moon in shape, whose taste is sweet and astringent, which is wet, and the length of whose flow is 16 fingers, is water element, and it gives all benefits. The swara whose color is red, and shape triangular, whose taste is pungent, which flows upwards, and whose length is 4 fingers, should be known as the fire element. That swara which is blue in color, sour in taste, which moves in an oblique direction, which is never still, and the length of whose flow is 8 fingers, should be known as the wind element. That swara which in color, taste, flow, and direction of movement is an assortment of all other swaras should be known as the akasha element, and it makes every work infructuous. The air and water elements are auspicious. The fire element gives a middling result, and the akasha and the wind elements give inauspicious results, loss and death. The earth element extends from east to west. The wind element resides in the north, and in the middle is situated the akasha element. When there is predominance of earth or water elements under the moon swara, or there is fire element under the sun swara, then it bestows success to all good or bad works. There is no doubt about it. The earth element is beneficial during the daytime, and the water element during the night time. There is death from fire element, destruction from wind element, and from akasha element often there can be loss due to fire. The earth element is considered favorable for preservation of life, victory, profit, agriculture, efforts towards earning money, mantra sadhana, war, asking questions from anyone, going out or returning. If there is a dominance of the water element, then one should expect the arrival of an enemy. When there is a dominance of the earth element, it is auspicious. When there is a predominance of the wind element, then the enemy may go elsewhere. And when there is a predominance of fire or akasha elements, then it will cause loss or death of the enemy. If someone asks a question when the earth element is dominant, there will be anxiety about vegetation, for example, trees. When the question is asked during the predominance of the water or wind elements, then there will be anxiety for life. And when the fire element is predominant, then there will be an anxiety for metals. When the akasha element is dominating, there may be an absence of anxiety. There will be no anxiety at all. If the earth element is dominating, then one will move in company of several persons. If the water and wind elements are dominating, he will move alone. When the fire element is dominating, he will move along with other person. Two persons would move together. And if the akasha element is dominating, then one would not move at all. When the right swara is flowing, then in the fire element, the Mars, in the earth element, the Sun, the water element, the Saturn, and in the wind element, the Rahu dominates. When the left swara is flowing, then in the water element, the Moon, in the earth element, the Mercury, in the wind element, the Jupiter, and in the fire element, the Venus dominate. All these planets always dominate in all works under the respective swaras and elements. Mercury resides in the earth, Moon in the water, Sun and Mars in the fire, Rahu and Saturn in the wind, and Jupiter in the Akasha elements. If Rahu is residing in the Sun swara, and someone happens to ask a question about the whereabouts of a person who has gone to some other place, then he should be answered that the person in question has already moved to some other place from the place he had originally gone to. If the water element is dominating at the time of the question, then the reply should be that the person who has gone out would soon return. If the earth element is dominating, the answer should be that the person who has gone out is spending his time well at the place where he has gone. If the wind element is dominating, then the answer should be that the person in question has moved further to some other place. If the fire element is dominating, then the answer should be that the person in question is already dead. When the fire element is dominating, then one should know about the vegetations. When the water element is dominating, then one should know it for auspicious works. When the fire element is dominating, then one should know about the metals. And when the akasha element is dominating, then one should know it to be a blank. One should not express his knowledge about anything. At the time of a question, when someone who has gone out of there is either earth or water element, then the person in question is enjoying a satisfied life, good health, love of others, sufficient entertainment, victory and pleasure. If there is fire or wind element, then the person in question is suffering from fever with shivering or excessive sleep. If the akasha element is there, then the person in question should be pronounced dead. These 12 questions have been in respect of the dominance of the elements. The persons who know should note them carefully. The earth, water, fire, and wind elements are powerful in the east, west, south, and north directions respectively. O Parvati, this body is 5-elemental. It is made up of earth, water, fire, wind, and akasha elements. And there are 5 qualities of earth in this body, in the form of 3 bones, flesh, skin, nadis, and the 5th, the hairs of the body. Thus say the persons who are the masters of the Vedas and Shastras, the Brahmajnani. The Brahmajnanis say that the semen, blood, fat, urine, and the 5th, the saliva, are the qualities of water. According to the Brahmajnanis, hunger, thirst, sleep, lethargies, and luster are the 5 qualities of fire. And the Vedantis say that running, walking, tying a knot, contraction and expansion are the 5 qualities of wind. The knowers of Vedanta further say that love, enmity, shyness, fear and attachment are the 5 qualities of Akasha. In this body, the earth resides for 50 palas, the water for 40 palas, fire for 30 palas, wind for 20 palas, and Akasha for 10 palas. That is, from earth onwards, the period of each of the subsequent element decreases by 10 palas respectively. If the earth is raining, then the benefit or profit would come after a long time. If the water is raining, the benefit or profit would come almost immediately. If the wind is raining, then the quantum of benefit would be comparatively less. And if the fire is raining, then even a completed or successful work would be reversed or spoiled. There are 5 qualities of earth, 4 of water, 3 of fire, 2 of wind, and 1 of Akasha. This is the knowledge of tattvas or elements. Hissing, blowing, broken, and lying useless, this earth provides results in all the works according to its condition. Tanishta, Rohini, Jesti, Anuruddha, Sarvana, Abhijit, and Uttarashada are the 7 lunar mansions of earth element. Purvasadi, Alisha, Mula, Ardha, Revati, Uttarbhadra, and Satabisha are the 7 lunar mansions of water element. Bharani, Kritika, Puisa, Magha, Purva Pilguni, Pulva Bhadrapada, and Swati are the 7 lunar mansions of fire element. Visakha, Uttara Falguni, Hasta, Sitra, Punarvasu, Asvini, and Mriksira are the 7 lunar mansions of wind element. If a messenger sits on the side whose nadi is flowing, either left side or right side according to the flow of left or right nadi, and asks either auspicious or inauspicious questions, then all the questions become fulfilled. If he asks a question from a vacant direction, then his questions would draw a blank. Even if the sun or moon elements are flowing with their full strength in the breathing, they do not provide success. But if there is a conjunction of both, then it is given to all kinds of success. Sri Ramanandra, the legendary hero of the Ramayana, and Arjuna, the hero of the war of the Mahabharata, got their victories when superior elements were dominating, and all the Kauravas, who were rivals of the Pandavas in the war of Mahabharata, were defeated and killed because elements were against them. Some pure souls obtain the knowledge of the elements due to their karmas of previous births or the kindness of their gurus. The bija of earth is Lam, which should be meditated upon as residing in a square, yellow, shining like gold, and full of sweet fragrance. One who does so obtains a shining and fine body. The Vam bija should be meditated in the water element. It is like a half moon in shape. One who meditates upon it is not troubled by the pains of hunger or thirst. He can also remain submerged in water. He does not experience any difficulty even if he is drowned in water. Ram is the bija of Agni element, which is triangular in shape and red in color. It is worth meditating, and one who does so gains tolerance of intense fury of sun and fire and can devour any amount of food. Yam is the bija of wind element. Its shape is round and color black. It should be meditated upon, and one who does so can fly in the air like birds. Ham is the bija of Akasha element, and is formless and of extra brightness. One who meditates upon it gains a knowledge of past, present, and future, and also gets anima siddhi. There is no wealth better than the place where a person with the knowledge of swaras resides. A person who moves with the knowledge of swaras gets success without any effort.